Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs and welcome. Today I'm sharing the beginning of my Winter Berries page for the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Field Notes project. And I've just begun this. So I thought I would show the beginning of the page and then I will show it finished. And I thought it might be interesting to see how it kind of metamorphoses into something that I don't even really expect when it's finished. So this is the beginning. Let me just see if I can grab a little board here, a little design board. So this is the beginning of my page, and I have chosen to do holly berries for this. I've got that written on here, holly berries. I should just take this right off, shouldn't I? So I've chosen holly berries and juniper berries for my page, and I've just written in a few of the things about this. This holly is an evergreen, and here it is, holly. That's actually one of our twins' names, Holly, and the genus is Ilex. And then over here I wrote juniper, because these are juniper berries, genus Juniperus, and this is a conifer. So I thought that would be interesting to just include those few little notes. Not sure if I'll add anything else on this. And these are the colors that I have chosen to use for this. These two browns for stems, and these two for the juniper berries, this for the holly berries. And I used these for the, I will be using this to outline the holly leaves, and this I used for the juniper needles on the juniper plant. And what I did here was I used 2 strands of thread in the darker color. I have very little of this color, 500 left. I have to order some more. So 2 strands of that, and I just went around with these long straight stitches. And then I used 2 strands of this, which is 3362. It was a lighter green, kind of that piney color, and I went over those first 2 darker ones, and I felt like that gave me a little more life to these needles. I felt like they looked a little bit more dimensional, and like the needles that you would see, they're not just one color, they do have a little variation of color. And so the berries are just satin stitched on here, and I put in a few little kind of highlights. The juniper berries really have sort of a blush on them of like a lighter color. I don't know if I'll try to do anything with that. And over here for the holly leaves, I decided rather than stitch them all in, I'm going to just outline them, and also the vein down the center. So I used my watercolor pencils to just give them some color, and then I will come through and I will stitch the berries with the satin stitch like these are done. And I used 4 strands of DMC floss on these for each berry, and I'll probably use 4 strands as well when I do these. Stitched in the branches of the holly berry, and I thought I'd show quickly how I do the watercolor pencils on here. For those that are new, I have new subscribers, and many of you maybe know how to do this, but I thought I'd share. And I thought I'd also say it's kind of nice to work from the top going down, whereas if you work from the bottom going up, sometimes you'll put your finger in there and it may still be wet, and you may carry that color up on your page. So I'll just show quickly. I would just sketch in a leaf like this. I can bring you down a bit for that. I would just sketch in a leaf like this, and then I would take my Liquitex fabric medium and just use some of this first. I would put this down first, and this of course makes sure color's permanent, but it's also nice because it brings out the color in the watercolor pencils and helps you to blend and spread color better too. So I just put a kind of a generous coat on there of that. And then I would get my pencils here. And the two colors, oops, sorry about that. The two colors I used were a darker green and kind of an olivey green, kind of a winter green and an olivish green. This point is going to come out, I'm sure, but I hated to lose all that lead, so I'm babying it. But so what I would do is just come in here with some of the darker color and just kind of go around lightly with that. And then I would come in with this lighter green. Hopefully my pencil point won't come off. And just kind of add another little dimension of color to this leaf. Hopefully giving it a little bit more movement than just the one static color. And then I would just come in with my brush and move that around, taking a little bit more of the fabric medium and just kind of move it around on here. It kind of blends and smooths the colors a bit for you. And I didn't worry too much about going right up to the edges because I'll be stitching around the edges on this piece. And I would come back in with anything that I felt needed to be touched up a bit, maybe adding a little more color. And again, back with my brush, coming around like that. And if I felt that it was a little bit too dark, that I didn't want it to be quite that dark, I might add in a little bit of white, which, as you can see, I use the white a lot. And you can just add in a bit of white to this to kind of lighten the color. Again, maybe giving it a little more dimension. And go over that as well. So you can go in as many times as you'd like on this leaf, adding and taking away color. I take away with the white, but basically it's something like this. This is a little bit messy around the edges here, but I will be stitching, so I'm not too concerned with the edges. But that's exactly what I do, and that's how easy it is to just fill in these leaves and give them a little bit of extra dimension. And if you don't want to do solid stitching, it's a nice alternative. You can also, of course, cut fabric out. I could have cut fabric out for these leaves as well, but I thought it would be interesting to use the watercolor pencils, and I've been using them right along. So, and I'll just quickly grab something else here that I'm going to add to that page. These are some little birds that I cut out of some fabric, and I've just ironed some fusible interfacing to the backs of them. And these two were actually kind of together as a pair, which I thought were so cute. But I thought rather than block all of my leaves here, I'll probably add another one here. And I have this little guy, which I thought was so cute as well. And he may go over here on the conifer somewhere. juniper, sorry. So I think I'll add those two for sure will go on here. And then I will add some other things on here as well, and I'll distress my edges. So this is the start of my page, and I will come back when it's finished. Well, I'm back, and I have finished the page for winter berries for the Field Notes project. And I'll just move this out of the way. Let's see, here is my page. And this is where it sits in the book, in my accordion folded book. And I'll just fold this back so that you can see it a little better. These accordion folded books have a life of their own, don't they? So here it is, all finished. I'll just give you a little close-up of it. And what I did was to go through and just sort of distress or make the edges look a little bit more vintage. And I used my Ranger Oxide ink to do that with, and just a straight edge or a flat edge brush, and just touched the ink pad and touched the edges of this, and I just like the vintage look that it gives it. And then I added a couple of pieces of fabric, just did some running stitches on those with some text on them, just to add to give it more of that field note journal book look. And I've used those consistently throughout, so I'm just adding to keep it consistent. And I added my other little title for this season. We've done spring, summer, autumn, winter. And I just stamped a little piece of fabric with each of the seasons' names on it, just to denote that whatever follows this is that season. There's 3 prompts for each season. So this is the first one for winter. There'll be 2 more. We only have really 2 more pages and we'll be done for the year. This has really been fun. So I stitched on my little winter, and I simply stamped this again with the Ranger ink on a torn piece of fabric. And I made some notes on here. This, of course, is a holly plant, and I decided that this is an American holly. There's also English holly, and there's all different varieties, but I decided this was an American holly, being that I'm in the U.S. This is AKA also known as winterberry, and I made note that there are holly trees and there are holly bushes. If it's a tree, they can get 40 to 60 feet in height. That was interesting. I didn't know that they grew so tall. I've seen the bushes. We have had holly bushes, but I didn't know that there were holly trees, so that was interesting. And of course, I wrote holly here, genus Ilex, and it's an evergreen. And I also wrote Christmas here because holly is used loads of times during the Christmas season. You see it on wreaths and sprays in vases, and of just all sorts of decorations, garlands, all kinds of things, with mistletoe sometimes. So I just thought it was kind of nice to make that notation that it is thought of as a Christmas plant as well, or it's something that you see often at Christmas time. So I went ahead and I finished doing the leaves. I had been outlining all of these leaves, and I mentioned that I colored these in with the watercolor pencils. So after the outlining, and then I did the veins and the centers, and then I don't know if you can see it, but I used a very light bluish green, almost kind of a blue spruce green on here just to add some more stitches that gave it a little bit more texture. I don't know if you can see them that well. Try to come in close. But they added a nice texture to these leaves. And then lastly, I did the berries on here with 4 strands of DMC floss. And I don't remember the color name, but it's one of the reds. It's more of a deep bluish red than the orangey red. And excuse me, I have a little cold that I caught from, I think, one of my little grandchildren. But just a mild one. But again, this is evergreen, and the leaves stay, and they're just a beautiful, dark, shiny green with those red berries. It's really a beautiful plant. And then over here for the juniper, I did wrote down conifer because it is a conifer. It makes pine cones. Juniper here. And the genus is Juniperus. This is a juvenile because it has needles. And the juvenile junipers will have needles, where the more mature junipers have a kind of a scaly branch that would make you think of an arborvitae or a cypress plant, something like that. So this is definitely a juvenile juniper. And something I didn't know about these is that they can grow 66 to 131 feet in height. So that's really, really interesting. I don't think I've ever had one grow taller than about 12 feet. Pardon me. So that's really interesting, I thought. I didn't know they were such large trees. And so I also put my initials on here, of course, and the date when I drew this, 11/17/21. And I attached this page with a running stitch and an ivory or an ecru pearl cotton, size 12 for that. And then lastly, I added these little birds on the page. I just thought that they would be interesting in the branches. And I'm often asked about the fabric that I use, and this fabric, which has these little birds here that I chose, I chose them because of the red and that they would complement the cardinal on the opposite page, and also because there's little nut hatches here and there's a nut hatch on the opposite page. So I cut these out. I did my usual with the lightweight fusible interfacing iron to the back, and then I used fray check around the edges just because I didn't want these little images to degrade in any way. And I doubt that this fabric is available, but it may be found on eBay or Etsy. This is by Tracy Lizotte, or Lizotti, I'm not sure how she would pronounce that, for Elizabeth's Studio. And I think there's a larger version of this as well, but I loved this with all the little birds. And I don't always buy a fabric with a purpose in mind. If it's something that I think is beautiful, I will buy it, because fabric, you know, within a few months it's gone and they don't print it again. And if you want to buy something like this, if you have to go on the other markets where you look in Etsy or eBay, a lot of times it's so much more expensive. So I do buy pretty fabrics when I see them, knowing that down the road at some point I'll use them. So that's where these little birds came from. I'm not sure what these are, if these are tanagers or not. I'm not positive, but I just love the colors. And of course, these two were together on here, you can see, and I cut them apart. Am I in focus or in frame? I cut them apart and I stitched them with little invisible stitches on here, just to hold them down. And I also added this little nut hatch to the juniper branch, again, excuse me, stitching with little invisible stitches on there. And I liked the way that they go together on this page. We have the cardinal with the red and the birds with the red on them here. And then, of course, we have the little nuthatch, which are one of my favorite little teeny tiny birds. I love them. And so another little nuthatch over here I thought was awfully cute. And I think that's it. I talked about that, my little sign that I put for each season. And so yes, this page is completed, and I'm done 2 days early. Oh, sorry, my little Piper must hear something. Um, so I want to thank you very much for joining me with this page and this little journey for the winter berries. And it's Thanksgiving time here in America. This Thursday is our Thanksgiving. So if you're in America and you celebrate Thanksgiving, I'm wishing you a very, very happy Thanksgiving, a beautiful day. However you celebrate it, I know we'll be getting together with all of our children and grandchildren, so that will be so nice. I know we should be thankful and count our blessings every day, but something very special about Thanksgiving Day. It really brings it all to mind, and the wonderful food that is provided for us by God, all the blessings that He gives us. It's just a nice day. I love it. And so I wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving Day, or wherever you are in the world, I wish you also a wonderful day of Thanksgiving. In my family, let's see, 2 of our children have their Christmas trees up already. I said, oh my goodness, no, I'm going to enjoy my fall decorations for now. And as soon as the weekend comes, that will be the kickoff for Christmas. So the pumpkins and the leaves and all of the berries will come down. I love berries, so I loved this page. I'm always buying little pipberry garlands and pipberry sprays. I love berries. I put them all over the house. They're a weakness of mine. So I'll be taking all that down and get the Christmas trees out and get going with all of that, the garlands and everything. So this is a nice time of the year, and we're already in my family listening to Christmas music. So I don't know if anyone else is, but we've started. So again, thank you very much for joining me, and I'm wishing you many blessings on Thanksgiving Day or every day, wherever you are in this world. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.